I don't know about this. And because he doesn't actually add or take anything away from the story, in my opinion. Love a good musical. Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Gabrielle, and I'm really excited to share a vlog where I read Matilda and watch Netflix's new adaptation. So the other day I was in San Francisco. I live in LA, so I was traveling, and as we were walking we came across this man and woman at this stand, this like bus stop with what looked like bookshelves on the side of the bus, and they were passing out books, bookmarks, tote bags, all promoting Netflix's new adaptation of the Matilda musical. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cute, that's so exciting, and so thankfully we were able to get some. I'll show you here all the goodies that they were giving out, including little tiny Matilda figurines, if you will. I hadn't planned on reading Matilda before this, but once I saw the display and received the book, I was like, oh my goodness, I might as well, because I had seen some trailers of the new musical coming out, and I was like, oh, I definitely want to watch that, so I figured I might as well give it a read as well, since I had never read it before. So throughout this vlog, I'll take you through a few days where I'm reading it. I'll sit down and give you a bit of a backstory and more information on the Matilda story. And then I'll also share some clips of me reacting to it when I watch it, probably on Christmas Day. Of Matilda right now, I have seen the original 1996 film, and I have also watched the musical in London, in the West End, when I was studying abroad. And I love the musical. I actually love it more than the 1996 film. So I'm really excited for Netflix's version because I love a good musical, and I know that's what it will be. I also saw some viral clips of one of the dance scenes that was going around social media, and people were kind of putting it to like a hip hop beat, and the dances look so good. So here's hoping that it's enjoyable. I have started reading the book, so I'll sit down in a little bit and share all my thoughts with you. Okay, so it didn't actually take me that long to read Matilda. It only ended up being just over like 200 pages, and it was such a cute little read reflecting back on the 1996 film. They had a lot of source material in this book. I feel like they literally just took every single scene and expanded on it for the movie, because I remember all of this. So that was really cute, and I love the illustrations that are included in there by Quentin Blake. I love the style that he did. I feel like it really just brings the story to life. I'm able to picture it so clearly from the images. I also love how he drew Matilda. She's so cute. I figured I would give you a bit of a synopsis of what Matilda is about before I share my reviews of both the book and the TV show. The story follows Matilda, a little girl, and it is a fantasy and whimsical story, so there's a lot of unrealistic things that'll happen, some magic in there, but overall it's super cute. Matilda has one older brother and her parents. Her dad is a seedy used cars salesman, and her mom is a stay-at-home mom who really likes to play bingo. They love watching television, and Matilda's always bored. She doesn't enjoy watching television. She wants to read, so she reads the cookbooks that her mom has, and any books they have in their house, she devours them, and she wants to know more. So over time, she starts to go to her local library and just spend all day there reading all the books. It's quickly revealed that Matilda is some kind of prodigy or genius, because she's reading adult level content, so like Charles Dickens, you know, Moby Dick, those type of books. So not what you would expect from a 4-year-old, I believe she is at the time that she starts that. And so she makes friends with the librarian, and the librarian's so impressed, but she doesn't quite know what to do. Parents are very neglectful of her, and they really hate her, actually. They hate that she's there, they hate how she wants to read and not watch television, they hate that she's smarter on them and she'll play little tricks and pranks on them, and they don't know it's her. So they fail to sign her up for school when it's her time to start. So she ends up enrolling a bit late. I think she's 5.5 when she starts school, but she's enrolled at this school with an absolutely terrible headmistress. The headmistress is Miss Trunchbull, and Matilda's teacher is Miss Honey. Throughout the book, Trunchbull does terrible things to the students. She hates children, actually. She makes a funny statement that when she was born big. She's always been big, and she doesn't understand why other people can't be big. Why are they born small? She really hates children. And so there's different scenes in the book where she does crazy things to students who she thinks have wronged her. So at one scene, a boy snuck a piece of a chocolate cake that the school's chef made specifically for Miss Trunchbull. So she rewards him for eating her cake by having the chef make a giant chocolate cake, and she makes him eat every bite of it in front of the entire class at this sort of assembly. And yeah, so it's just kind of crazy. Throughout the book, Miss Honey really sees how Matilda is much smarter than the other 5-year-old students in her class, and so she wants Matilda to be advanced to the, later classes with like the 11-year-olds. But Miss Trunchbull will not allow it because she thinks that Matilda is just lying. And towards the ending, Matilda and Miss Honey are very, very close, and Miss Honey reveals a big secret of her life. So Matilda goes to Miss Honey's house and sees it's this like run-down, tiny little cottage. She has like no electricity, no food, no running water. She like has a well and one little like cooking thing. She doesn't have a bed. Like, she's a very, very poor life. And she's like, oh, Miss Honey, like, why are you so poor? Are the other teachers so poor? Miss Honey's like, yes, I am very poor, and I earn the same as the other teachers, but my situation's a bit different. And then it's revealed that Miss Honey has been garnishing her wages and sending them to her aunt, because when she was young, her mother passed away, and her father, a very successful doctor, had her aunt come live with them to help raise Miss Honey. Her first name's Jenny. So she lived in the house with her dad and her aunt until one day her dad mysteriously died. And it was, suspicious that they said that he took his own life. But Miss Honey knew that something was fishy, but there was nothing she could do. She was very much the type of person that will do what someone tells her to do, and she won't push back or cause an argument. Her aunt then becomes her guardian, basically makes her personal, maid. And terrible life for Miss Honey. When she becomes an adult and start working, the aunt says, I raised you all these, 10 years on my own. Give me your salary for the next X number of years to pay me back. So that's what Miss Honey's been doing. So she gets a tiny little allowance that will allow her to live in this rundown cottage and get like a loaf of bread every week to survive. Ugh, so sad. And then she drops the bomb on Matilda that the aunt is Miss Trunchbull. So that's crazy. Within the first few weeks, Matilda is attending school and all this nonsense going on with Miss Trunchbull. One day in class, Matilda gets so angry that she starts feeling this power inside her, and she wills a glass of water to spill over onto Miss Trunchbull. So she tells Miss Honey about this newly found power that she has, and so they work together to help her figure out where this is coming from. They're not actually sure why it's happening, but every day Matilda practices more and more until she can like levitate objects and control them. And once Matilda learns about Miss Honey's predicament, the next day at school it all goes down. So Miss Trunchbull comes to their class to observe what Miss Honey has done for the students in Matilda's class. And Matilda uses her power to write a menacing note on the board in chalk. Just her power. So she's levitating the chalk to write a message. Miss Honey, Jenny. Her father's name was Magnus, and Miss Trunchbull's name's Agatha. So she writes, Agatha, this is Magnus. You better believe it. Give my Jenny her wages, give her the house that I left her, and get out of here, and if you don't, I'll like come and get you. And so Miss Trunchbull is like, like she is crazy, she thinks it's a ghost, she passes out, and then she runs out of the school once she wakes up, and then no one ever sees her again. They go to the house that she was living in, that was the house Jenny grew up in, and she's gone. So Miss Honey finally gets her house to live in, she gets her wages, and all's well for Miss Honey. However, one day in our final scene, Matilda comes home after hanging out with Miss Honey, and her family is in a mad dash to pack up their whole house, pack up all their belongings. And she's like, what's going on? What's going on? Her father got in some seedy deal with all of his cars where he was like illegally buying cars and reselling them. And so he's like, we're moving to Spain. We need to get to the airport in 30 minutes, pack your stuff now. So Miss Honey doesn't live very far away, so Matilda ran back over to Miss Honey's house, brings her back to her own house, and has her parents agree that Miss Honey can keep her and raise her there. So just like that, Matilda's parents leave off to the airport, leaving her with Miss Honey, who will now be her adopted guardian. It's also revealed that Matilda, once, Miss Trunchbull left, Matilda was able to go ahead with the 11-year-olds instead of remaining in Miss Honey's class, and she no longer has her power. So Miss Honey says she thinks it was just because Matilda's brain wasn't challenged to the level that she thinks it should have. And they live happily ever after.
That's amazing.
I don't know about this. We just got through the alphabet song. Terrell loved it. I'm not so sure yet. I really am someone who loves more original versions of how stories are told. So this is gonna take a lot for me to accept. We'll see.
No, haven't I just told you she is a gangster?
Another question I have is, why isn't Lavender black anymore? Suspicious. Alright, so I have officially watched Netflix's new Matilda the Musical adaptation. So here are all of my thoughts. So overall I thought it was pretty good. It was very similar plot points to, of course, the book and then the musical I have seen in London. I don't remember as much of the musical, but I'm sure it was identical storyline, just more enhanced with it being a movie. And there were some plot points that differed from the book, but that's just how it goes. One of the biggest ways that it differs from the book is that throughout the musical, Matilda is telling her librarian friend, Mrs. Phelps, a story that she thinks she made up about an escapologist and an acrobat who are in love and get married, and they are, you know, the best in their class, in their fields, and what they really want in life is to have a child. So she's telling Miss Phelps this story throughout the musical version of Matilda, which does not happen in the book. Two big things that I noticed that were really different in the musical version compared to the book and the 1996 film is that the story starts off, and one, Matilda doesn't have a brother in the musical version, which I think was fine because he doesn't actually add or take anything away from the story in my opinion. But where the story actually starts off and where the plot picks up, it felt to me a bit like we didn't get to know enough of her parents, and like we understand that they hate her, that they're cruel, that they're terrible. But I think in the original versions that the story is told, we hear a bit more about it. Like we get to see their daily, you know, TV routine, forcing Matilda to watch TV with them. We get to see her learning how to read and then hating that she likes to read. And though there are little instances of that in the musical version, it really just doesn't feel like there's enough for me. And I think the big difference is that in the musical, all the scenes where we get more insights into Matilda's family life are replaced by the scenes where we're seeing her tell the story of the escapologist to her librarian. So that's like the biggest trade-off for me, and I kind of enjoy seeing more of her family story to the fake story, which turns out to be real. There's also a few other differing plot points, like Matilda's powers are really strong in the musical version. Like she's making her hat float and fly around when she's outside. At one point, she uses her powers to destroy the Chokey, which is this sort of cage that the headmistress, Miss Trunchbull, created to punish the students. So Matilda uses her powers to make this explode. And then Mrs. Trunchbull creates an individual Chokey for every student that is at the school. Matilda realizes that Miss Trunchbull made all these individual Chokeys. She uses her power to manipulate these iron chains to destroy each Chokey. So that is a ton of power that certainly was not in the book at all. Like in the book, she's struggling for a few days to be able to levitate a cup, but it felt like it was kind of instantaneous in this version. So that part was a little bit less gratifying, as well as the fact that Matilda never loses her power from what we see in the musical version. And I think it was kind of cute in the book how she loses it once she has more mental stimulus from being in a class that's more suited for her. Overall though, I thought it was pretty good. I really like some of the songs. I don't love others as much, but I really like a few of the songs, and I was shocked because the song that's really big and that the dancing scenes were all over social media was actually the last song in the movie, so I didn't realize it would be that late, but that was a really good one. Oh, and another thing I didn't really like is I didn't enjoy how Bruce's character, the one who has to eat all the chocolate cake, he's seemingly supposed to be an overweight child or just a larger child, and they had a skinny child with like pillows stuffed in his midsection. I would have rather they just had a larger child if that's what they wanted to do. I think that was just like a little bit silly. It didn't really affect the story in any way, but I just don't see why they needed to do that. Otherwise, I think that the children in the movie were really good acting. Oh, and the biggest thing that was like crazy to me, Lashana Lynch, who plays Miss Honey, I first saw her acting in the movie The Woman King, which she was exceptional, and I honestly think like she was like best actress in this movie. Like she kind of overacted in the sense that like she was too good. And yes, of course, a lot of her counterparts are children, but still, like every character, I feel like her acting was just like too good for this. She was exceptional for the really emotional scenes for her. Like, I feel like she knocked it out of the park. So I really like her. I think she was an excellent choice. But yeah, otherwise I thought it was pretty good. Definitely feel free to check it out if you're a Matilda fan. It was enjoyable, and the musical aspect makes it a little more fun. Matilda is, you know, more of a like fun and spunky character, which I think aligns with a musical, whereas in, you know, the book and the 1996 film, she's a bit more calm and quiet. So we definitely see more of that strong aspects of her personality, where she's, you know, playing pranks on her dad and things like that. And overall it was enjoyable, so check it out. If you did already watch it, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But otherwise, thanks for following along. Like this video and subscribe if you're inclined. Otherwise, I will see you in another video very soon.